I already started the business, but during that period, I was having a very massive financial crisis. That was not paying the bills. Parents' pressure were a lot like, oh, my son, you've studied civil engineering, what's going on? And I'm like, getting a job is not the problem. I want to build something for myself, right? I want to be an entrepreneur.
What was the business that you were building?
We've not started building Zeeh Africa, then we're still building Daxlinks. So I'm a creator and founder. Daxlinks is still running now very well with operations in at least 3 states in Nigeria as we speak right now. It's more of a micro-lending, micro-investment, micro-savings platform. So that's how we started, so from just 200,000. Then I was reinvesting the returns back into the business. So I can't remember the duration, right? But I grew it from 200,000 to 1.4 million. Before we got to that point, right, we had a lot of issues.
Tell us about the challenges.
Where do I start from? When I assessed it, I saw I was a bit late. So maybe I'll be very honest with myself. There was already like sort of Carbon, Fair Money, Money Point, all of them playing in that MLB space. So I was like, what's that one thing they will need? Especially if those that wants to give out loan. We decided, okay, we'll be an open banking company in a bit to drive access to those financial data. So that one on its own is a big problem. I mean, right now we have one of the largest bank in Nigeria using our products. It really helps in terms of like speed, of getting things done and things being done the proper way. Because now we just launched one very beautiful product. There are some guys that I saw, they just had Figma designs. And they raised 400K, 600K. This one just even had ideas. Boom, raised money. I'm like, what? A lot of them have closed down, are closing down. Are we still closed down? They were giving us reasons why you shouldn't be a founder. They said, do you know founders are the last person to get paid?
What makes a great founder?
I think the one thing, because I keep asking myself this question every time.
Do you think entrepreneurship is for everyone?
Is that for everyone? No. Some people are called to support us.
David, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much. So excited to be here.
Yeah. You've been very active on the continent. You've been doing a lot of things for the tech ecosystem, I would say. And I'm super excited about the fact that we're about to dive deep into some of these topics. So let's kick off with understanding a little bit of background on David, right? What did David want to become when he was a kid?
The interesting fact is that while growing up, I really did not have a precise career path I wanted to like trend. But one thing that was certain was I want to be rich. And I also want to make impact. I think impact first, right? Then when making impact, make money. So I think those were just the watchword. Then funny enough, how I went to the best. I mean, investing in Nigeria. That's University of Ibadan, right? Then I studied civil engineering. So where I am like this, I'm a civil engineer. Am I practicing? I can't answer that. So it was actually why I picked civil engineering was I wanted to put up a challenge to myself. They were like engineering guys, that smart guys that weren't doing the real thing. Then why did I now pick civil engineering? Was because I love the concept of building from scratch. Like imagine something. And you're able to like put it from your brain into paper and from paper into reality. So I think that's one of the major things I love the most, building something from zero up, right? So that was what struck my interest in studying civil engineering. So yeah, I think that's what I said.
Yeah, and you told me that you spent only a couple of days on your first job.
Oh.
Tell me about that. What was your first job and how long did you spend on that job?
Okay, so I'm going to not mention the name of the company, but it's in the banking sector, so it was a bank.
How do you come from being a civil engineer to working in a bank?
So, I mean, okay, so after finishing school, University of Ibadan, right? I went to serve. So there's this thing called youth service, a mandatory 1-year service. Then I went up north as to, Borno State. It was a very interesting journey. Then when I was done, I redeployed back to Lagos. But somehow, my redeployment landed in Ekiti. So I had to stay in Ekiti for a while. So when I was done with the, when I was done with the service, There are a lot of background stories to what even led to that, right? But let me still try to just put everything into context. So I already started the business, but during that period, I was having a very massive financial, what would I call it, crisis. I did some business not go as planned, so it was a very drastic one. So cut the long story short, I go back to Lagos. Then I was trying to continue my business, pick it up from where I stopped, try to get things together. But then that was not paying the bills.
Yeah.
And parents' pressure were a lot oh, my son, you've studied civil engineering. What's going on? Get a job, get this, get a job. And I'm getting a job is not the problem. I want to build something for myself, right? I want to be an entrepreneur, which I've started, right? I wanted to grow. But let's say the pressure was much. So I had to succumb to the pressure. Then I went to apply for jobs. Then I landed at that, right? So I got into the banking sector because I was not particular about the job. I just, let me just even for the sake of getting a job. So I applied, got into the job. Then I resumed Monday. Okay, we first went for the training. So they'll do training period for you. Went through it. I think I stayed for the training course. I think I was enjoying the fact that I was learning something new, meeting people. It was fun until we now started the real job. Went to the office on Monday, went on Tuesday, went on Wednesday. Thursday, I said, I'm not doing this again. I had to just take and resign, nah. So I had to now still continue pretending as if I'm going to job. I've been going to office for, I think, 1 or 2 weeks because I was living with my older brother back then and they all know I had a job. It's unheard of oh, you resumed and you're resigning, something that we all celebrating for you that you've gotten a job. So I had to still keep on, go there, just go and do something else. At the end of the day, go back home, what was fine? It was such a crazy moment then. So now I was put in a point that there is no two way about it. You have to just take this thing serious and it has to work. If you're an entrepreneur and you have to just give it your all. So that story about how I worked for this and I left and I focused on my business back again and see how we could build it. And glory to God.
And what was the business that you were building?
So I think we've not started building Zeeh Africa, then we're still building Daxlinks. So I'm a 3-time founder. And Daxlinks is still running now very well with operations in at least 3 states in Nigeria as we speak right now. So we're building Daxlinks, which was, okay, I think we're resurrecting Daxlinks, that's the right word, because it was what went into financial crisis back then. So basically, it's more of a micro lending, micro investments, micro savings platform. So the business model is very simple, right? Okay, let me drill it back to how we started Daxlinks. So back in the days when I was studying in University of Ibadan, I'm a beneficiary of certain scholarships. So one of them came in at a point in time where I did not need money. I already sorted all my bills, right? Then I got 200,000 came in. That was the amount that came in then. So I was like, okay, what will I do with this money? Nothing. Then I spoke to a friend that his mom has certain she sells in the market. And I was like, oh, what if we give 20,000 to 10 people? You recommend 10 people, we give them 20,000 and they pay back on a weekly basis with interest, right? So that's how we started. So from just 200,000, then I was reinvesting the returns back into the business. So I can't remember the duration, right? But I grew it from 200,000 to 1.4 million before thinking of injecting other outside capital or maybe still relaxing, employing a staff, then now giving it a structure. So that was what the startup was all about, right? We take money in terms of investments, right? And we pay the investors at a certain percent interest, and we use the fund strictly for loan. So we offer credit facilities to both the formal salary earners, what have you, right? At the higher interest rates. So we earn off the margin. So that was basically how we started it. We grew it up to $1.5 million funds under management. Then, so that was what we're building then till before we got to that point, right? We had a lot of issues. Maybe I'll dive into that issue later on. So when I go back, from the service, and I started the business again. So I just had to like see how to first clear the outstanding debt. It was massive. Like I had to first clear the debts. You that I put on small repayment on instrumental. Don't worry, I'll pay you. So I started again, started raising funds, started the operation. But now this time I was doing it with better experience, right? Better understanding of the markets and what have you. So, then that was when we now grew it up to like $1.5 million in total asset under management. And it has gone way, way, way above that as we speak right now. So that's the summary of the business.
Very interesting, man. Very interesting. So tell us about the challenges.
Where do I start from? Okay, so I won't say mismanagement because there was nothing as such then. I was, because to build myself, I had to take certain financial courses. I enrolled with CFI, started CFA level 1, did the FM. I mean, just to like understand the financial markets properly, right? So what really happened was I was trying to like focus on my final year, because it was now becoming too much. When you get to that point where you have to either drop out of school or you pick your academics, they were already like it was. But then the entrepreneurial spirit of me was more of leave school, right? But then the 5-year course, I've stayed 1, 2, 3, 4 plus also strike, which is like, actually like it's a strike, 6-month strike of doing nothing in school. I'm like, won't I just sit back and finish this thing once and for all? So like, okay, let me just put a fund in one of, I think it's an investment company or that's other people's fund. So I splitted it into certain portions, right? And I just, okay, just to keep it so that it won't be idle, right? Since I couldn't manage a lot of, because it was a one-man business, so I couldn't manage a lot of things. So I just recouped the capital, then put it there so that, okay, I'll finish studies. And after studies, I can start fully, employ more staff, grow. So things just went, I mean, up till now, I've still not collected the money. So they just, boom. And we had crisis. I don't know whatever the crisis is. We had back and forth lawyer, court case, because it was not just my money. Yeah. It was quite a number of people's money. So I can't start carrying that excuse and tell my investors. I mean, that would be very responsible of me. So I had to like take the chest of everything, right? And pay everybody. I believe my friends say this, they do not know this about because they were asking, what's going on? You do this, you're worried, you're that. After that, fine. I don't know. I couldn't just share it out like with people, right? So I just took that burden upon myself and see how I could pay a large percent of people that we owed back then in a bit till we did a good job doing that. So it was a tough one.
Yeah, interesting. What did you find the money to pay back?
As I started doing businesses. So okay, I did. I think here it's called Move. In Nigeria, it's Uber.
Yeah.
How did I even start Uber? Met some guys, raised fund, buy the car, started doing Uber myself, paid the car back. Then at least that was a source of income, right? While I was doing that, I was also working as a digital marketer for restaurants in VI, right? So all the earnings just left, right, front, back, just gathered it. So make this one, pay this person, make this one, pay this person, like until, so while I was now doing that, then I now focused back on the company, right? I started raising more funds. Then we got into the business of giving loans back again, but this time around, like I said, in a more strategic manner with collaterals. Then also we got in some heavy flows of funds where we showed consistency, even from people that were owing before. When they saw the level of consistency, that okay, yeah, we're here to stay. So they invested more capital into the business. And then it got to a stage that, okay, I had PTSD. Whether I want to really put this large sum of money in people's hand in terms of loan, where they come, maybe economic and happen and what have you. So then I had to find alternative source of investment portfolio. So as we speak right now, we have farms in Kebbi, Calabar, Kano. So on a low again, I'm a farmer. Yeah, I'm a farmer because that's one thing that can never go wrong, right? Mm-hmm. If it's properly done. So I think 7 years now I've been farming rice, to be precise. So that was a vehicle that I just had to like diverse fund. And from then up till now, the income has been steady. And even though we had a lot of, few crises, well, it's well proofed, like no story.
Yeah.
So that started growing, returns coming, pay this, pay that. Nothing going to myself. I just had to like clear myself. Then I stayed. Yeah.
Interesting story, man. First startup and first massive challenges, court cases.
I was like 20.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah.
How do you get a license for something like that? For lending business, everybody knows that trying to lend money is one of the hardest things that you can get a license for. What will you guys recognize as?
So it's in two phases, right? So when we first started, since it was a one-man business, so there was no regulation. It was like I knew you, nobody knows, no company name, no registration. So that's how I started till when I decided to like make things more official, right? I wanted to start taking in outside funds. They were like, we can't send money to your personal account. It has to be a business account. So we had to register. So the first one that we did was we used SLA. So with a registered license company. So we just, they were our umbrella under an SLA stating that, okay, we can operate to a certain level with them. Then afterwards, we grew to like get our own license. So for Nigeria now, there are different, I think maybe I'll recommend it to other places. There are different levels of licenses. So you can get a state license. That's like a money lender license. Then you can get the, I think, national before you cannot get you can get microfinance bank before you cannot get the international banking. So started also with the smallest license. So then I had capacity to take it. So I think the regulatory body in Nigeria is a little bit flexible on that, not that tough. For the basic license, and there's a cap to certain transactions you can do. So that's how we got our license, and we still have our license up to now. So.
Yeah. Very interesting, man. Having your first startup and learning that big of a lesson, right? I think it builds you up. As a founder, right? You have so much experience, right? What kind of lessons did you take from that to your second startup?
Okay. So I'll say it's in two ways, right? Because quite a number of other people that face such challenge, they just caved in and I won't call it PTSD, but then they just couldn't gather the energy to like start up again and like be up. That's one. And two, it taught me to be more careful. I don't know how to put it, but then when I'm being careful, right, it does not mean I won't still take risks. Because one thing I studied about myself then, because I reflect a lot, I meditate a lot. So like while reflecting, I was like, am I sure I want to take any? So once any opportunity is coming my way, the next thing I'll just turn my back to it. I'm like, is this what I want to be doing with my life? Just because of this? And I won't be able to take on any opportunity again. And so I had to like train my mind and like work on myself that, okay, this has happened for a reason. It means, okay, next time, be very calculative, like learn. I think one of the major things I learned was just edging. So ensure you know how to edge. Like this is not just in the financial market, right? It's cut across every day of our life. Once you're trying to do something and you're seeing the level of risk, the next question you're asking is what's your edging points? What are you using to edge this? Like, okay, if things go south, what's your fallback plan? So I think that was one of the major things I learned, taking it into the next startup, Zeeh Africa. So what even led to the birth of Zeeh Africa? So basically we started running Daxlinks and we're doing fine. But the challenge was we're not digital. We had over 6 branches across like Lagos and Ibadan as at then. Our staff was running up to 50 manpower. So everything was like the book and barrel way, stores, this, that. So we needed, now everybody tech, fintech, funding, you see this fund, 2 million, this one. What's going on? How do I be part of this? How to follow the body. And I started that, I was like, okay, what's the next thing, right? Do we really need to go digital on the old microfinance bank and stuff? When I assessed it, I saw I was a bit late. To be very honest with myself. There was already like sort of carbon, fair money, Money Point, all of them playing in that MLB space. So I was like, what's that one thing they will need? Especially if those that wants to give out loan, they will need infrastructure. They will need access to credit. They will need, credit scoring. They will need payment. They will need collection. So that's what led to the birth of Zeeh Africa. So we decided, okay, we'll be an open banking company in a bid to drive access to those financial data. So that one on its own is a big problem because of the regulatory. It's still fresh, fighting with powers that be. But then already, they're cooperating already, right? So that was what led to the start of Zeeh Africa, such that, okay, I want to be a vital backbone for businesses, for fintech. Right now we have one of the largest bank in Nigeria using our product. We're one of the largest microfinance bank in Nigeria, and several fintechs that have raised in double-digit millions of dollars, right? And depending on our solution as we speak right now. So it's like we've not got into where we're going to, but it's showing that, okay, the dream is coming true. Like we are being the backbone for businesses. So they're making money, I'm making money. So that was the whole concept of why I choose not to digitalize Daxlinks and instead just start up Zeeh Africa to be able to solve that problem.
Very interesting. And building that, right? It's you're a tech company now. Yeah. Do you have a tech background?
I have a tech background.
Can you write code?
Yeah, I write code, but I don't anymore. So I think right now I can review code. Because interestingly, our first website at Daxlinks, I built it myself. I use WordPress. Then when we needed to upgrade to have people having their investments, log in, WordPress could do top further service, switch to React, Node. I wrote it twice. So it was interesting how I was learning. While learning, you're using what you're learning to write, and you're building and you're launching. So it was only me. Yeah. And then I had some people that are senior developers. I'll go and I'm not crazy things. So I leave Lagos, go to Ibadan, just to go and spend the night in their place. Whenever I'm stuck and I've battled it, but as I see, there's something I can do, just okay. And they'll help me, they'll put me through, continue again till, then I don't know, most founders, they just grow big and they don't write code anymore. So I don't think I write code anymore. But then it's very good, it's very handy in the sense that I have the experience because, the tech talent out there, especially in Nigeria, those guys, it's very difficult to get people that are really, really dedicated and good. I don't know. They just want to boo you. Some of them don't even know the job. They just come and they just say they can do this surface knowledge. So if you don't really have either a technical co-founder or yourself, you have a little understanding of technical skills, you're in a long ride. So it's very useful for me right now. So they can't tell me, I'm like, we want one project. I'll be listening to them, especially because we have stand-up meeting every morning, 9:00, right? So I don't necessarily have to talk. I just join and I just observe. So whenever they are signing tasks, they want to start a new sprint, I'll be looking at them and they'll be like, this, it should take 2 weeks. I'll just unmute. I say, what do you mean 2 weeks? Are you kidding me? 3 days, max. Yeah. They will deliver it. Because, okay, you said 2 weeks, so you're breaking down. What do you want to do for 2 weeks? So when they are breaking it down, like, this, you're not talking to a novice. And so it really helps in terms of speed, in terms of getting things done and things being done the proper way. Because now we started managing, we just launched one very beautiful product. So what the product does is using just BVN as a means of ID, right? We can debit all your bank. So imagine you have 10 banks. BVN is mandatory for opening any bank account in Nigeria, right? So just without your BVN now, we can debit all your bank. So say imagine you went to take a loan from Carbon and your money is chilling in Access Bank and you don't want to pay the loan back. So with our infrastructure, we can remove that money from there and pay who you are owing back. So it's a direct debit feature that we just launched. So now we're handling payments. So if things are not done properly, we'll be exposed to where? We got that February 14th was the last time we got attacked. Thankfully, we scaled with zero casualty. Yeah. So back to what I'm trying to drive at is the fact that, okay, I'm also technically inclined, right? And I'm very hands-on on what's going on at Zeeh Africa.
You make it sound very easy that you build this fintech from, your self-coding and WordPress to having one of the largest banks in Nigeria use your product. But is it easy? Is it that easy? Can you take me through that journey? How did you go from that WordPress to, the largest bank.
It's not easy. It will be very honest with you, right? So I have a co-founder, is the CTO, but his expert skills is not in building. It's more in reverse engineering, cybersecurity, pen test, and what have you, right? So simple as building a front-end landing page. It's pretty much not good about it. But then the core infrastructure that we started with at Zeeh Africa, it was when they handled it in terms of reverse engineering all the banks. So we did that. It's just 3 of us in the whole Nigeria that have been able to do that.
And what does that mean, reverse engineering all the banks?
So these are open banking works, right? So we want to get access. Let's just use one phase of it, which is getting statements. So you're banking with maybe BKB, a Bank of Kigali, right? And you have 2 years banking record with them. So then Zeeh Africa wants to give you a loan. So, but then I need your account statements to know whether you are receiving salary, basically what your financial footprint looks like. So instead of Zeeh Africa asking you to go and print your account statements and send it to me, people alter their statements. So they'll go and edit the figures, say they are this, they are that, they are that. So you now give them loan based on what you are seeing. Whereas they can't pay, they just misbehave, and that's high default rate. So what the solution does is we'll go to BK, would get access to their API key, the endpoint that generates that statements, such that we can now pull your statements directly from the bank to Zeeh Africa. So Zeeh Africa can see that, okay, this is your real financial standing. So the banks were not cooperative, or they're already being cooperative now. They are not willing to expose that endpoints. They have their reasons. They are being careful, fraud, this, that, data breach, which is fair enough. But then all these things, there are solutions to it. You can build a framework that will prevent whatever it is they are saying. But that's the excuse. So what we did is we reverse engineer the bank apps to be able to get access to those endpoints and now build an API on it. So it's, I don't know how to explain it better than that, but it's a crazy work now doing it for over 20 banks in Nigeria, one by one. And the sad part of it is whenever one of those banks go, once they update their app, you have to start from scratch again. It's pure downtime. So it's serious. That's literally it's stunted our growth at some point. So we think, we are celebrating so back. We are good. Come and use us. Customers complaining, what's going on? This bank is not working. Well, now when I check, they've updated. We'll be like, Jesus Christ, we're going to start again. So it's an interesting journey, right? But now what I'm doing now is, thankfully, I'm kind of leading the ecosystem, coupled with some other seniors that are in the open banking space. So we built a framework, right? And we're now letting all the banks themselves, because now they're already saying they need for open banking. So they are coming to plug themselves into the framework. So I don't need to go after them again. So they are coming now. They will now have all the banks together, right? Once we have it, we don't need, so any update they are doing is reflecting even on our framework so we're making data now very easy and accessible to businesses. Not just that, also KYC data. So we're plugged to I think 8 government database, BVN, NIN, driver's license, passport. So you want to run KYC check on anybody with any of those details, they can use Zeeh Africa to do that. I think I'm selling my product.
No, he's a poster. Yeah. No, that's really interesting, man. And that's a very interesting kind of trajectory that you guys have been able to go through. Were you fundraising, or were you growing in the beginning with just your own? Did you start by first monetizing first, or did you raise a lot of money in the beginning?
Okay. Well, now around is still undisclosed, so I also keep that undisclosed.
Yeah.
But we started off bootstrapped all the way. Then we had 3 co-founders. We all bootstrapping together. Then at some point we got in one angel investor. Pretty much small round, very small. Then one VC. I think he dropped also, like I said, it's undisclosed.
Yeah.
So we use that to start building. Right. I mean, and that's all we've reached so far. And there are certain milestones I've set for the company that I hope to hit before the end of this year so that we can just start our proper fundraising, which is just, I believe, I want to raise just one time. Then after that, maybe the next 3 or 4, 5 years. So I don't want to go into the hustle and buckle of raising. So my goal is very simple. I'm looking at making Zeeh Africa profitable. We're very close in the sense that we, over the couple of few months back, we brought our OPEX down to the burst minimum. That was because we actually shut it up to be able to build a sustainable system that is not dependent on human efforts in terms of downtime, because that was one of the major challenges we were facing before. So you would, think your system is working, the next thing, this one is down. We'll fix 2 years, fixing this one, another one is down. Very silly things. So we have to now spend a lot of resources and time building from scratch, like with all proper structure, and like we built a comprehensive infrastructure. That's all I can say. So then we were now comfortable with onboarding those big clients that we have at the moment, because then we're having a lot of drop off clients. They'll come, they'll like what we're doing, they'll use it, they'll sit down time, they just bounce off. So that's like just think that strong decision with the funds we had, focus on it. So now we've built, we're very stable, and now we've already dropped down our OPEX to the very barest minimum. So we're just going on. And obviously, we're already generating revenue, pretty good revenue. So we're looking at balancing. So once we balance that, right, then I'll raise everyone more around. Because that one now will be the foundation is settled. Yeah. That it can affect the company. So this one will be for expansion purposes. Yeah. So that's the plan. So help me God.
Yeah. Maybe taking you a little bit back to when you're building the product, right? And then you mentioned that I think when you're building a fintech, everybody knows how, protective people are with their data, especially, banks and governments as well. So I want to understand, you mentioned that there's a couple of players in the market.
Okay.
What would you say, you guys looked at the market and said, this is what we're bringing to the table that, let's say, you as banks either cannot do by yourself, because some banks already have a digital department when they're building their own internal digital tools and infrastructure. What was the pitch to some of these companies saying, hey, we know what you guys are doing. You're not doing it really well. This is what we bring into the table. But also in terms of like the competition, right? You mentioned all the other big players. Okay. Everybody knows how big Nigeria is with fintech. Yeah. So I just want to understand that kind of like, what was the competitive advantage?
Okay. So I think let me start with the first one with the banks, right? So I'll just create a simple scenario. And I'll mention the name of banks. So say, for example, you have an account with Zenith. I think I've made this scenario before. You want to take a loan from Zenith Bank. Sorry, you don't have an account with Zenith. You have with Access Bank. And you're banking with them. You have very good history, something solid. Or you don't have an account with Zenith, right? And you want to take a facility. Maybe they are doing a Greek loan or something, which Access Bank is not doing. They have a better interest rate. And you want to take a loan from them. The next thing they will tell you is, okay, open an account. I mean, I saw that myself. Open an account with us, bank with us for at least 6 months. So they can understand what your balance sheet looks like. Yeah. I'm like, fam, please, I have a very solid balance sheet in this bank. Why can't we just plug and play and carry those data and see that it's working, right? And offer me this facility rather than me waiting for, imagine I need an emergency loan. Now I'm waiting for 6 months because I want to build a credit history with you. So that's where, so that's one of the major selling points we had, right? So irrespective of whatever banks you have, we can help you access this data and make it available to any other person that needs it. So that was what we're selling initially, right? So we're selling that, okay, you don't need to build, credit history. So you just plug and play. That's one. And then two, we went a step further. We started leveraging AI to analyze those data. So we're able to get over 82 data points, ranging from whether the person gambles, the person is a salary earner, where the person lives, everything, like what day of the month does he receive the salary. So we created a very comprehensive, we call it insights. So what that insight does, it also gives a credit score. So it's like very easy for, I think the early adoption of the solution with us was fintechs. So it was easy. I mean, they want to start quick and start disbursing loan. So you don't need to like bother yourself. Just come, we'll give you the data. And at some point, our records were very, very clean. Sorry, not at some point, even up till now. Our non-performing loan ratio is still in single digits for people that we've been able to facilitate over $15 million loan up to date, right? And we have very clean records. So that was what we started. That was the value proposition we're offering on companies. Hey, come, you're having issues with, what's it called, with deciding what to give loan. Don't worry, say no more. Zeeh Africa will help you.
And nobody was doing that in the market.
So nobody was doing it in the sense that, like I said, there are just three of us that can do that connectivity to all the banks. So it was just the three of us. So either they are using, so if you meet anybody and they said they are doing open banking or you're using any bank, if you mention the first, second, or third, it's one of those three you're using.
Yeah.
So it's a very large market, right? So it's not much. I mean, they are bigger boys. One of them has raised $15 million. I mean, so it's a very big market, right? So if you're not using, it's just the three of us, the people are using, right? So at some point, the only thing we needed to do was now do proper awareness so that people can know us, because the need for that solution was like at the peak. Still at the peak, kind of, right? So there was no much apart from that value proposition we're selling at that point. So that was the initial product we started with, because now we already have like a full banking as a service. We have KYC, we have credit history connected to the credit bureau. We have the GSI as global standing instruction that can debit all the accounts. So the new one about watching also now is for your payment, your collection, virtual accounts. We're putting that into the system now. So we are like your friend as a business. So if you're a business, we're your friend. Anything you need, just come and use us. So that was, I think, and that was another unique value proposition we're selling to businesses, right? Say, for example, you want to you're into the loan as a tech company, right? Your KYC, you go and talk to your company for KYC. Your account statement fetching, talk to a company, another company rather. Analyzing even those statements you're getting, either in JSON format or PDF format, you talk to another person. To disburse, you talk to another person. To collect, you talk to another person. So see now you're talking to 5 different people, 5 different endpoints, 5 different APIs, security key, pricing. So why not just take Zeeh Africa and you have all that? So far, nobody's actually doing all that the way we are doing it, even up to now. So we have the all-encompassing, and we're even still adding more features. So even if they think they can catch up, I mean, they should keep trying since we're adding more. So yeah, that's what makes us stand out.
Because that's what I was thinking about. I was thinking that it's a massive market. It's there's a lot of money in there. So I'm like, why isn't there a lot more people paying attention and be like, yeah, like let me take, only 3 people in the market. Let me also be a 4th person.
No, this is the gist now. Like I said, the banks are not exposing the APIs, right? So to get to this API, those endpoint, right, you have to reverse engineer the banks. It takes a very, like you have to be the best. Like you have to be very good to do it. So that's why my CTO is a very smart guy. And so there's this certificate he has, I think OSWE or something. There are just 2 of them in the whole West Africa that have it. And it's number 1. An international cybersecurity certificate. So he's on another level. AI is a genius. So that's why. So people have tried. Oh God, like I can't be mentioning the ideas. A lot of people have tried. They think they will start doing it. When they saw the Ozu,
they give up.
They gave up. So it's not something. It was not something that is just anybody can just walk up and just get it done. So that's what makes that. That's what makes it different.
Interesting. So let's go back to now. We talked a little bit about, fundraising, but also like, making profits. I also know that you were very active in the ecosystem, right?
Okay.
So I think one thing that I want to talk about is during COVID and the next couple of years after COVID, there was a lot of money being flown into, thrown actually into the ecosystem, right? A lot of companies were raising so much money that we've never seen before, right? And then last year and this year, there's a different shift now. Everybody's talking about profitability, reducing your costs. Everybody's talking about, oh my God, no, I don't want to talk to investors, too stressful. Let me focus on organic growth.
They are capping.
But there is a big, shift in mentality of founders in terms of like, I will only take money if I really need it, right? I won't take money just for the sake of.
I'm not sure that's correct in Nigeria. Don't worry, I'll give you the background because
No. So tell me a little bit about that. What do you think about? Maybe that's different in Nigeria.
It's different in Nigeria, trust me, because when that era was bubbling, fundraising, there are some guys that I saw, they just had Figma designs.
Yeah.
And they raised 400K, 600K. This one just even had ideas. Boom, raised money. I'm like, what? So the issue then was FOMO, fear of missing out. So we had the likes of Paystack, which did well. I mean, the evaluation was going up. Other notable companies that were doing well. So people were like, wow. So, and I think this was the fourth on investors' fact. I mean, if you're investing in a startup, we should be giving it 5 years or so. I don't know. They were like, nah. So any small startup that is happening, pumping their money, putting their money, because it's still the game, right? You don't know which would be the next Flutterwave, which would be the next Paystack, right? So that was where so it was fear of missing out, to be very honest. That was literally, and so founders now, so the annoying part was founders took advantage of it. So someone will just come, build a beautiful idea, leave, maybe it's Paystack. That was even the format they were using. So gather themselves, Paystack, Flutterwave, Access Bank, this thing. Come, say we're starting our own startup, we're doing this thing, raise money. So those people, they'll be like, they have the experience, they work in these big people that have, so they have the experience, they'll give them money.
Yeah.
Those were, they just want to cash out. All of them just took the money. A lot of them have closed down, are closing down. Are we still closed down? The number of startups that actually closed down, right, that have raised funds, and we don't know that they've closed down, they're actually more than the one. I'm saying this for free, right? Like, they can check it anyway. I don't want to open. And there's actually a lot of companies that have shut down, a lot of companies that are having a lot of financial crisis. And I'll be wondering, how did you manage to spend $2 million, $3 million, $4 million? That's minus even one that there is double digit that are still closing down. But I think one of the major reasons I've been able to study is the fact that there is zero corporate governance. So it's one thing for you to know how to write code. It's another thing for you to know how to run and manage a business. So a lot of people don't know how to manage business. They just think it's by building on some product, right? And after that, they are living the dream of their life, buying Benz, especially flying up and down. Why? I don't know. People think I fly up and down.
That's the dream, man.
What? It's on investors' fund. Don't do that. Do it on your money, your make profit, or do the real building. That's one of the reasons why I still cherish Shola as a friend. He was so focused about building this company, that Paystack, right? Not about the old familiarity. I'm not throwing shit to anybody, right? But then, so that was what started. That was what caused it. Then now, when the investors' their eyes has opened, they've depleted all the capital and day to day, really, not all of them, a large portion of them really didn't understand that it's a long game, right? And they're also now still seeing how some founders are lavishly spending money. So let me just save my money and not bother giving it out for now. So that was where the dry period, apart from the economic issue that happened across the world, right? But majorly, I'm talking specific to Africa market, right? So they just step down. And it's not even like they step down. They don't really have money that much again. I don't they're still making, they just prefer keeping it. So fast forward to now, a couple of them have raised more money from LPs. Now VC firms, even angel investors, they have the money. But now they are extremely, very careful. That's why we are seeing things like founders now, they are saying, I don't want the investor that will stress me. They're not stressing you. They're asking you, they are doing due diligence. If you prepare your deal room, you prepare your corporate governance, your registration, shareholders agreements, everything you need, put it in a file properly, your balance sheet, your financial statement, document everything well. Give you money. So now the investors too, they're not just looking for quick cash stuff. They now want, people that are still investing, right? They want to do it for the long term now, but they want to ensure that this person is not another I'll call it Ponzi scheme, right? I just want to raise money and cash out, right? So that's why some founders are not like, no, I don't want this investor that's stressing me. It's not stressing you. It's investing in your business, right? So there are certain things it needs to see before you put in the money. So if you cannot get it done, no matter how beautiful your product is, because we've seen it over time that it's not about how beautiful the product is. It's about even you as a person, how well are you able to manage the product? When do you pivot? Some people, they're like, they started the product, right? And at some point, they need to, all they just need is just a little pivot. But because what they are doing is, they are not really interested. They are enjoying the money, right? Just back out and be like, sorry, we tried our best. What do you mean you tried your best? You can't even account for the money that was given to you in the first place. So I think that's where the trick is, right? Founders now, they are being held accountable for certain things in terms of the proper things to be done. And some of them are saying it like it's stress. Actually, it could be stress. I won't lie, because some of my investors still asked me for, what's the update? And it took me sleepless nights for 1 week because I felt sure, because I was busy building, right? So I did not take cognizance of certain things. So I did not request for it. That's like a long time to prepare it when I created the structure so that we'll just be updating it every month. So I don't need to. So it's stressful, right? But then I was watching a video, was it this morning, right? And they were giving us reasons why you shouldn't be a founder. They said, founders are the last person to get paid. Imagine you have, in a transaction, right? The manufacturer first take his own, the distribution chain takes their own, they now pay government, we take their own, the bank, we take their own, tax, we take their own. It's now the leftover. How would that come to you as a founder? So the guy was not like, if you're not willing to be the last person to eat from the table, and whereas when I still doing the work for everybody, for the government, for the bank, for the this, right? I don't know, it's hustling and bottling it. Federally, to be the last person to eat on the table. Don't be an entrepreneur, don't be a founder. So, right, that's why it's even good, to be honest. Maybe look at it from another angle. It's showing the fact that now awesome products will be built. People that are actually dedicated in solving a problem. Those are the people that will be out in the market as we speak right now. Not just people, because trust me, I invested in a couple of startups and like myself, and I see pitch on a daily basis, and I'm like, you don't even understand what you're trying to build. Even me, that also you're pitching to me, I know your business more than you do. You're asking me? I was like, what? So those part of the reason why we even started about the Startup Fest, which is one of the largest startup gathering outside Lagos, right? To see how we could build an ecosystem of founders that are really building stuff, expose them to investors, right? Like I said, real founders that are doing stuff, expose them to investors. They're not just that, build a community of where people can relate with each other, build stuff together, shipping products on an international scale. So that's basically what we're doing about the Startup Fest.
Yeah. Interesting. And you dropped a lot of gems in there, which I want to pick back on.
That's fine.
So you are a founder,
okay.
Many times founder, let's call it that. You've invested in a couple of startups as well. So what makes a great founder in your eyes?
I think the one thing, because I keep asking myself this question every time. This is not the first time I'm asking myself that question. Well, one of the major things that stand out is the resilient spirit towards pivoting. So it's 2 in 1. So you just have to have that resilient spirit. That's one. But you need to know when to pivot. So you are doing this, you are putting in the energy. That's what resilient spirit comes into place. Putting in the work, putting in on and on and on and on. But I get to a certain point, you need to see, sit down, come. Are you sure you don't want to pivot? Because it might just be one little tweak you just do, and boom, you hit your product market hits. Everybody at the top of the town, everybody needs your product, right? So that's one of the major things that you need to be able to do to be a founder, not just in Nigeria, because I can't even remember, I saw a Twitter post then that was saying all these big companies that they do not start, they are not doing what they started at. So it's a common factor to all founders. You need to know when to pivot. Yeah. So if you are putting in the work, you're putting it, sit down, sit back, look at, okay, what is our next step? How do we pivot? Right? what's the other thing? I've forgotten the other part, right? But then, like I said, you need to know when to pivot.
How do you know when to pivot? If you were to put it in a formula, because I think human beings, we function better with formulas, right?
Okay.
So give me a formula for me to have a pivot, to know that, okay, when these things happen, this might be the time to actually pivot.
Okay, so let's start with your burn rates / your is it burn period or whatever time it is for your company to die. Your runway, exactly. So it starts from, so you know your runway. Let's say for example your runway is 12 months.
Yeah.
And you've been running for the past 12 months. Mm-hmm. And you're looking at this next 12 months. You have to be very honest with yourself. If with your growth and your targets, right, and your milestones, do you think after these 12 months, right, do you think you'll be able to be in market, or you are depending on investors' funds to come in between that period? Mm-hmm. So if you are depending on investors' fund, that's a red flag. Yeah, that's it. I'll be very honest with you. If it comes, it's a good one. But if you are depending on investors' funds to come within that 12 months, or let's say 6 months, you have 6 months to go in terms of your runway, right? And you're depending on investors' funds to be your saving grace. That's based on what you've been coming, like that's based on your past projections, right? Say, for example, you're making 1,000, and you are burning 10,000, and you have 6 months to go. You're still burning 10,000 on, and you're still making 1,000, maybe 1,050, 1,900. When you hit that bus stop, it's simple. That means you're already closing shop. So that's where you need to start sitting. That's the moment you need to start sitting down and be like, okay, for this next 6 months, even if we're still running this way, what is the next pivot point? I mean, what's the next thing we think we can do to jack up our revenue? So that's where the pivot. So pivoting can be, does not even necessarily have to be you changing your entire products. It can be even you change your pricing model. Like, okay, people like me, because I did it a while back, right? We're charging API costs. And I'm like, how long down to keep charging API costs, strengthening our profit margin? And I'm like, even if I do 1 million, how do I keep this? So we just had to switch, introduce payments and collections. So now for every money I make, every collection I help you do, I'm taking a certain percentage of it. So that I just know how to go and start chasing volumes. So that's like a pivot for me. So it's not necessarily me saying, okay, I'm closing down Zeeh Africa while we are starting something afresh. That's not necessarily. So it's just that, okay, what's that little thing, what's that switch thing you need to do? Because it's very clear. So in formula, right, the moment you can see the end, that's when you should start your pivots. That's when you start thinking about your pivot and affecting it. The moment you can start seeing the end, that, okay, by so day, we'll run out of fund. And so, you know, from now to that day to see, okay, what is the magic you need to make without depending on investors' fund. I keep saying that. A lot of people just depend too much on investor fund. It's nice, it's good, but you need to first learn how to do business outside fund, right? Once you learn how to do business, because that's where, not one of the issues startup face. I've spent a lot of time in startup, especially in the Nigerian ecosystem. So maybe that's where I'm getting my facts from. I stand to be corrected, right? One of the major issues, because it's also something that I learned on during the course of being a founder. A lot of startups don't really go after the unit economy. So you starting a business, you build the products, you already have few users, you are doing well. Like as per you've not broken even, but okay, revenue is coming in, but your expense is still more than that, more than your revenue, right? Then boom, you use that to raise fund. And you still do not go back and sit down and understand your unit economy. So unit economy is simple as, okay, what is the 1-to-1 of my business? What's my profit margin? How much am I spending? How many people did I need to be able to like make the certain amount of money to match up? Like simple unit economy, like, okay, who am I talking to? So you now bring in big funds. So, account balance is looking fat. Let's keep burning. Let's keep building. Let's
just buy MacBooks for
Let's buy MacBooks for people. You get tired without thinking about, because if you can't get your unit economy right, whether you are running on $10,000 OPEX or you're running on 1 million, it's still the same thing. It's still the same thing. So you need to just get, so that's one thing founders don't really get right. They need to sit back and understand the unit economy, right? Okay, who do I need to sell my products to? What is their purchasing power? How much are they willing to pay? How much can they get it elsewhere? Like, you need to now break it down into like one pieces, like in unit value. So it's now with that, so that, because now some people, they can be boasting of 1 million user base, for maybe 5,000 or 50,000 active clients. But you still don't understand how much what's the life expectancy value of those guys? Like, how will you translate that to money? And I mean, you have a lot of fat account balance, so you're just like, should we have 1 million user base? Let's continue. Yeah, before you just, it's the stumbling block.
But the thing is that pivoting is painful.
Yeah, it is, trust me.
Right? It's painful because you started off with this amazing idea in your head. This is what I want to do. You're telling everybody thinks you're amazing, you're a genius. So you start building it, and then let's say you get some of those users, right? And I think all of us founders, we have this thing where we say, let's just get there. It's going to happen. It's going to change. It's going to change, right? Let's keep going. Let's keep going.
We are in the Western world, it's fine. When you're in Nigeria, you're in Africa. And again, one funny thing about Nigeria now is, I love my country, right? But this is pure stats and facts, right? We keep boasting that we have 250 something million users. Everybody's saying we are the largest market, what this, what that. But I think they should just go on Google and check what is the purchasing power of an average Nigeria. I mean, Netflix released the stats. When was that? I think a couple of months ago. I was in on 1.5 million active users in the whole 200 million. I'm sure Kenya will be even be doing like 10 million or so active users. So there's a very low purchasing power in Nigeria. I don't know. So founders, you need to sit down and know what you are like, know the market you are in, know what you are doing. I don't know. You just have to be in it to understand it, not just building fancy product. So we keep clamoring. We have 220 million, but very low purchasing power. Very, very low. You'll be shocked that every coast with that higher purchasing power. They're not. So even if you build a startup right in Nigeria and Ivory Coast right, you have people that are willing to pay $1,000 for your service. In Nigeria, you struggle to get people to pay $100.
It's crazy.
Very crazy, trust me. Very, very crazy. So that's why and that's part of the reason why we even saw a lot of funds pumped into Nigeria, right? And that's why I've seen, I don't know, I'm still observing most of these new funds, most of these new development center, they're not really coming to Nigeria, Kenya, Rwanda, Ghana, other neighboring countries. Why? Because I think they're saying that, okay, with the whole hype about the 200 million that we have users, blah, blah, blah. It's not translating to Microsoft is closing their ADC center and from millions of dollars investments, millions of dollars. They're closing it. And now, just yesterday, they announced they are taking 1 billion to Kenya. What's going on? I said that, what's this? Yeah, say you're closing this because so it's just the reality. So the earlier founders also, for founders, they sit up to this reality and understand. That still brings them down to their unit economy. Okay, how many people say if your product is good and you're the only one in the market, how many people can use it? And how much are they willing to pay? So but founders, we shouldn't be deceiving ourselves, especially in the Nigerian market. I don't know for that market, right? They need to really understand that and maybe to get better. To get better, we are hoping.
And what about, there's another thing, I think Elon Musk talks a lot about that, which is wishful thinking. Right. So again, going back to the same thing around unit economics and, not wanting to pivot. I think it also goes back to this mentality of a lot of founders, watch a lot of Steve Jobs and all these people, right?
You can do it.
And
aspire to pass fire.
Exactly. But also there's also another thing, which is, you look at people like Steve Jobs and you look at their stories, and then in some inaccurate biographies, they talk about how he was a genius. He was able to come up with a product and enforce it on people. So people didn't even know they needed an iPhone until he released it. So he's a genius. And all of us entrepreneurs are like that, should be like that, where you dream about a product and then you launch it into the market and people are going to buy it. It's like, they don't know. They don't know that they need it. What do you say to founders who are thinking like that. They're like, I will build it and somebody will buy.
We buy. That's the right mindset, because you have to, as the founder, 90% of the time, you have to like, how would I call it? You have to boost your morale. I kid you not, because if you're a founder and you've not learned how to like boost your morale and you're waiting for a external factor to ginger you, oh God, you will close up. So the same question I keep asking is the fact that how many iPhones are there now?
Millions.
No. Like how many Steve Jobs iPhones, like Apple products, is in the market? So is that the first person to wish, right? Everybody in the Western world, I mean, there are a lot of people to, but how many people have Apple? Like how many companies like Apple? There are people there. No. So we should wake up. That's what I was saying. We should wake up. But like I said, it's still good, right? For morale boosting, right? But the gist is, that's why I said we don't need to lie to ourselves deep down.
Yeah.
You should know, okay, these are my strategic plans, right? So that's what makes us an entrepreneur. And that's what makes entrepreneurship beautiful. Because at some point I decided, okay, what's the difference between being, I don't have anything against 9 to 5, right? Or what's the difference between being an entrepreneur and being 9 to 5? So if you are a corporate person in the 9 to 5, there is like a cap to where you can get to. Trust me, there is a cap too. But as an entrepreneur, in as much as you are still building, you don't even know what, you're not even certain of where your next money will come from. Yeah. But that sky is just the limit. So that's where that sky's limit is where I want to be like Steve Jobs, that I'll force people to use the products. But you should not just stay there. Still go down to the real facts of your unit economy, of what you're building, of your customer journey, everything about the product, understand it and build, right? So it's good, but then they should not just stop there. I mean, I'm also like that. Yeah, I'm like, well, my product, because one of the major things I'm looking forward to, I don't even know what will happen in terms of open banking is, I want to go to Canada. My wife is in Canada, right? I want to go and get the credits. I mean, when she even moved there, like, want to get the credits facility, she had to build it from zero. I'm like, what if, and she was doing well in Nigeria, can't we just carry it, take it there, have access to housing, whatever credits they have, same thing from there, bring it here. From here, go to, I mean, because I came to Kenya, wanted to open, I got in the local line, wanted to get my information and everything. It's still the information they're asking me here, they're asking in Nigeria, they were asked, almost similar. Can't we just have open banking? Especially like, you do just go there, just use your, I call it Zeeh unique ID. See my people thinking, like it's called Zeeh unique ID, like that's how big it will be, right? You go to Australia, just like, do you have a Zeeh unique ID? Yes, give me a Zeeh unique ID. All your profile, credit score, credit everything, KYC, everything, payments. Yeah, make the world one. So you see, but then that does not mean I'm not still on the small level putting in the work. But like, those are things I just imagine. And maybe I'll be the next Apple in that sort of result. Yeah, so that's it.
So you told me knowing when to pivot is something that makes a great founder.
Yes.
What is the second thing?
So knowing when to pivot, one. Then second thing will be your ability to identify talents.
Why is that important?
Because you're a founder, you want to build, except you just want to build a family office, a small size business. And you're not looking at, you don't have a big picture, you're not thinking Steve Jobs kind of thinking, right? That's when you don't want to learn, because maybe this is from personal experience, right? The growth I've made with having the right people on board with me, it's like day and night to when you have thousands, like a lot of staffs, and they are not for you. It's not that they are not good. It's not that they're not putting the efforts, but they are not for you at that point in time. So as a founder, your eyes, like, you need to have that eagle eyes to be able to like spot talents and know how to push them and get them to like align to the vision. So that's a very, very, it's a non-negotiable tax. Like, it's because as a founder, right, that means you're starting from scratch, you're building it up. So when you now grow to a certain level, when you can start handing things over to HR, blah, 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 you skip that part. But I keep telling, I keep saying this as founders, your first line of employees, never use HR or consultants to get it for you. Except you're lucky. That's when it's maybe, and that's very rare. But you're a founder, you're building something, you're doing with a vision, you know what you're building, except probably the HR person is also in with you on the vision, and the person really, maybe a co-founder also is driving the vision with you, right? And so the person can now use that knowledge to like bring in stuff. Well, that first line of your first direct employees, don't treat it anyhow. Yeah. You need to have the foresight. You need to know what you want. You need to be able to like identify talents and sell the vision to them. Because I mean, at Zeeh Africa, we have awesome people. I love my guys, even though it's a little more like, but then I still love them, right? And that's one thing I keep building on myself, because I saw the level of growth we made with having the right people on board versus when we're managing ourselves. And I said before that it's not as if they are bad people, it's not as if they have the company's best interest in that. But at that point in time, you guys are not just fit for each other. So don't be scared to fire fast. That's I'm great. It's not me that said it. I mean, I saw it in one YC video or something. They say fire fast.
Hire fast, fire fast.
Exactly, hire fast, fire fast. Yeah. It's a tough thing, trust me, because I remember when I needed to learn some stuff, because I had to like wait like 1-2 extra months because I couldn't just But then you don't have to like, I don't know. It's a thin line between putting emotions, like human feelings, and looking at the long run, like what the goal is. Because we're not here to like, I mean, we're not doing business for feelings, please. We're here to make money.
So what kind of talents do you need in the beginning? Like, you know, for yourself now, when you look at it, you know, a couple of years down the line, what kind of talents are you now advising, let's say, other entrepreneurs who are getting started? What should they be looking for? Because when you're starting, you don't have a lot of money. So you can't go and poach people from big companies, the best developers in the country, they won't work for you, right? So you don't have money. You can't tell people, come and make money with me. But what are you looking for? What can they do in the beginning?
So before I even go to the question, let me just digress a bit using personal experience. So recently, right, when I said we had to like upskill onboard a lot of staff so that we can eat a very stable product, because we needed to be the same. So we got a lot of people, you do this, you are front end, you are back end. So where that landed us was the fact that after all is said and done, we had idle hands that are collecting salary every month. And for a long period of time, they don't have anything to do. That was the same thing that happened with Twitter when Elon Musk came in and he had to like, what are you doing? But that's the thing, they did not do anything. That's they were not useful at first when they were brought in. But the question is, how more can you be useful to the company? So as founders, when you're starting, one of the major things you're looking out for in talent is, so I mean, when I now wanted to like restructure, because we did restructuring, right? And I was trying to like get in new developers, all right? Because I went to talk to them first. And I'm like, okay, see, you say you're doing front end. And for the past 2-3 months, you've not been doing anything. And I'm paying salary. Let's be realistic with ourselves. What other thing do you want to use to better yourself to add value to the company? And when nothing was forthcoming, I had to make my decision to let them go, right? So when I now needed to replace those department rights, I now looked out for full stack. And so full stack in the sense that your major is front end, but you can do other things. Does not mean you'll be doing other things. Because now the issue we're facing now is we now had like 3-4 front end that we idle at that point. And back end, we now had a lot of workload on our back end. And the head of engineering was not telling me to bring in more back end. When I have 3 idle staff doing nothing. And it was just for a short period of time. Will I now add back end staff? And when we finish that space again, they to do keep anything collecting salary, doing nothing. So that's where, so one thing in terms of hiring as a startup, you need to look out for people that in a startup, one person should be able to do, I don't know, they will say it's not work-life balance, but It's a startup, right? If you want work-life balance, go to KPMG or go to Shell. I don't care. When you're coming to a startup, you should be able to like wear multiple hats. It's very important as both the staff and the employee and the founder, right? So the solution to that was I just got a full stack developer, but your duty is front end. So should in case we have load on the back end, you can just assist them. You'll be able to contribute, help them offset the load, and we'll go back and do your main work. And everybody's happy. So those are things they need to look out for. People that are versatile, people that they have a wide scope of thinking. You don't want people that are just one way. Because if you get to a point, you start questioning, okay, what value are they bringing to the company now as a founder? You don't want to be in that point because even if the person is bringing value, you won't be able to work together. Because you feel like, okay, this person can do more. This person is putting in his or her best. So, I mean, I'm very particular about the fact that, because it's a very controversial topic, because the employee, they have their own points. Employers also have their own points. So there's that balance. Because now if an employee comes to say his own side of the story, it will make sense. If the employer comes to say his own side of the story, it will also make sense. So that's why I said, that's why I was emphasizing on the fact that at that point, maybe both of you don't just align together. So fire first, right? And we are bringing in a new person, ensure that the person buys into the vision and the person is multi-talented. For a startup, I don't know if it's for big companies, you can start specializing in skills, but for startup, they need to be able to like wear multiple hats. I can't imagine me saying, because you're a developer, we want to go for maybe sponsor the show and we have an exhibition booth. Should I'm like, yeah, me, I'm a developer. I'm not coming to sell the product. But in a startup, okay. So those are little traits like that. Just very something as simple as that. They have to like be able to like be versatile and team spirits. So that's one major thing I'll say. Look out for when hiring.
Interesting. Tell me about work ethic. What do you think is the work ethic for entrepreneurs?
There's no work ethic. In simple terms, for employees, right? As employers, you just forget your work ethic. That's all I'll say. As a founder, forget it. But it does not mean that because you're the one that they call to be a founder. Your employee did not call them to be a founder. They came to collect salary. So please don't exercise your agility on them. I mean, I had to like learn that also at some point because I'm like once a certain time, I don't even talk to my staff. Once it's outside, maybe because when I now reach out to them and those other hours, they know, it's extremely important. Mid-hybrid for them. But at some point when I see those, you were misbehaving it. But yeah, everybody, office, no exception. And I said, okay, economy was fuel because we have a lot of fuel issues in Nigeria. Like they just the first scarcity fundraising. Price of transports tripled. So okay, we had to like reintroduce hybrid again once again. But like I said, for founders, forget work ethic. You are called to the house. So but then that still does not say you shouldn't give yourself rest. So I think it's just more of understand your system. Know when you need to rest. Know when you need to work, and don't mix it together. So I think that's the work life or work ethic balance kind of, right? So just know when to rest, because if you break down, trust me, nothing will still be done. So know when to rest, know when to have your fun, know when to work, or don't now say because you are putting in 20 out of the 24 hours, you now expect your staff also to put in that same time. They're here for 9 to 5, whatever contract you sign with them, please honor your contract and pay them. They say the laborers is something of their wages, whatever they say. So please just pay them. But then with that, you also see more value from the employees also, because they'll feel like they're part of the team and the balance is there. So they will be willing to put in the extra work and put in the extra time. Then I think also spend time sharing the vision with them. Over and over again. I don't know, maybe it's my own experience, but just
you have to
just keep.
Otherwise you get lost.
Exactly. So they easily get lost. Like, okay, what are we doing today? So you have to like keep sharing the vision.
Sharing.
This is it. This is this. So I promised my staff was that a trip out of the country this year if we are able to meet certain targets. So every day I've been away for how many weeks now? They've never been so startup. Everybody is like, wow.
You just want a little motivation.
Exactly. So you need to like understand the input incentive where incentive needs to be, put bonus where bonus needs to be, give a reason to like, okay, wake up one morning and want to work for you. So I think that's where the work ethic and work balance comes into play.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with you. I think one of the brutal reality you realize when you become an entrepreneur is that the people that work for you, they will never care about the company as much as you do.
Exactly.
And that's okay.
Yes,
you have to be okay with it, right?
Exactly.
In the beginning, you start getting frustrated. Like, why don't you care? Like, why are you not here? The same hours as I am. It's like, they're not supposed to do that.
They are not for that.
If anything, if they get a better job, they will go, right? But also, I think the best founders, even if your best employees get a better job, if you cannot match, that, wish them luck. Just be like,
it's so very hard. I've let go. It's 3 of them now. It's 3 or 4. Very good guys. They came in with zero knowledge. Trust me. I can say this anyway. And they came in, not 0%, like very early stage. Grew, thought, build, everything. Now they got foreign gigs collecting thousands of dollars. Oh my God, they've left that. I'm like, it's okay. I'm like, okay, that's part of the impact we're making. That's what I have to use to console myself, right? Like, but it's very difficult.
It's painful.
You've invested a lot, you train them, you talk to them, okay, they're misbehaving, you call them, you love, like, don't do it this way, this is how you're supposed to do it, this. And now they are where they are collecting like salaries that you cannot even match it. I mean, we were in Nigerian company, we pay Naira. Someone is working from Nigeria and is earning in thousands of dollars. Where do to match that from? So I mean, it's very painful, but it's part of the job.
It's part of the journey.
It's just the reality.
Yeah.
So we face that also.
What is the markets that you are excited about, on the African continent, right? You did mention, Nigeria's done a great job in being the number one in a lot of things, music and also tech. You guys have taken over in terms of like the number of startups you have, the successful ones, all come from there. A lot of them. But as you say, there's other markets that are emerging now that are very exciting. Which markets are you excited for, and why?
Okay. In terms of region or in terms of products.
Yes, could be a country, could be an ecosystem that is very vibrant now.
Okay, I still think I think I'll just put this out there because it's something that's been bugging me, and it's absolutely. Maybe I was looking at opening an hackathon for some guys in CMU. They should come up with a solution to this problem. So I think it's data, because whoever can crack this data generation, like generating data in a digital way, in an automated way, that is very reliable, right? I think that person will be the hot cake, not just for Africa, but in the world at large. Because NASA, that's even, if I'm just talking about space data, like space company, space institution across the world, they need a lot of data and they have money pumping into how they get data. Some people that are running data companies that they are making millions of dollars in revenue, right? They employ research analysts, right, to be doing the manual gathering of data. Before they are able to now refine it. I mean, we're talking of OpenAI, we're talking of ChatGPT. Everything still boils on that data. So we will start seeing different facets of AI integration. So there will now be high need of data. A lot of people are not seeing it yet, but whoever can, I don't know how it will work. I don't know what system can be in place. I was in talk with recently when I was a couple of days, I was with one of the data and scientists for Zipline. So also you mentioned it is one of the challenges. So they are looking at, they are trying to use drones to capture area of land to be able to like gather data. It's work in progress, right? So whoever can crack that in at a low cost, at least, I don't know. At some point I was thinking, okay, what if we even use human being and we're incentivizing them for whatever credible data they are giving? I've been thinking. So that's like that's
not a bad idea.
Yeah. That's a crazy market I'm currently looking out for, like, how to like crack that space in terms of like providing raw and credible data on a regular basis, like, okay, on a real-time basis. Whoever can crack that, how the person is in good mind, as long as the person knows how to sell it.
Yeah.
Because trust me, a lot of people need indifference. They are willing to pay a subscription fee. They'll give you so a month for a yearly subscription. I will just keep giving me this data. Don't worry what they do with the data. But then that's the market. Yeah. And it's this an ecosystem I'm really excited at. I'm challenging anybody out there that can do it. They should come and talk to me.
No, I think I agree with you. I think data is really important. Are you still actively investing?
Yeah.
And what's your latest investment? Maybe not the company, but like what is the company trying to solve? Let's say.
It's still revolved around the same project. This project I just said. Yeah. It's a very, very smart guy, UI in Nigeria, right? So they're building something around this data gathering.
Yeah.
They've not been able to, I don't know, they're still working. So I'm still optimistic about them. So that's still involved around data. Yeah. That's the last one. But then I'm very much open to, I might exercise as summarize because apart from the funds, I have access. That's one thing I think I have at the moment. I have access like a very solid network of people. So there's things I bring to the table. I understand a lot of things about this journey called being tech or being a founder, right? So I bring that also to the table, right? So yeah.
You've been a founder, 3-time founder now. Investor, so many years in the ecosystem, bringing together entrepreneurs together. Do you think entrepreneurship is for everyone?
Nope, it's not for everyone. I don't think for everyone. It's not for everyone. No. Some people are called to support us. Because if everybody's an entrepreneur, who is going to support me? Who is going to be my chief of sales? Who is going to be my head of engineering? Who is going to be my business developer? It's definitely not for everyone. Like, everybody should just find their purpose and they should, unless if it's their front. Maybe that's the right word. They should find their purpose and they should face their front, right? And there are some people that can actually do both together. Can do your 9 to 5, but then obviously your entrepreneurship journey is not meant to, you don't want it to be big, because if you want it to be big, you would definitely have to still leave your 9 to 5 to focus on it, because they're actually two different. You cannot do the two together if you want to do it on a large scale. If I'll be very honest with you, except maybe, there's no way, because if you're running your business, that means you're not active in your business. So maybe you can get people doing it for you, managing it, then that's fine. But say you're active there and you're active in your 9 to 5 for whatever it is you're doing. It does not work that way. So entrepreneurship, not for everybody, because if entrepreneurship is for everybody, who is going to be, like I said, head of sales, head of this, head of that. So everybody should find their calling and they should face their funds.
But how do you find your purpose?
How do I find my purpose? One thing that makes me happy the most is making impact, right? Yeah. So I think that's the very reason why I can jump into any field, any sector, understand it to the grassroots level. Because when I even ventured into agric, the way I understand it, it's scary. As even to me myself, like, it's almost as if I went to study school. I went to study agric in school, right? But then what was still the drive? The question is, what led me to understand things the way I understand it is, I think my goal is to drive impact. The Startup Fest that we even did, right? What started it was, I just had, there is a food, they're into YC, send me their YC, and let's go, they've raised $10 million. And they're all in Ibadan. In Nigeria, everybody knows Lagos. So people believe if it's not in Lagos, it can be done anywhere else in Nigeria, kind of. We have that subtle mentality, right? And I'm like, see startups that have made it to YC from Ibadan. And all of them are not even interacting with each other. This one is doing this, one is doing this one. What's going on with you guys? I was like, okay, let's even, maybe small gathering in maybe my office in Ibadan, right? Let's just gather and let's meet, we pick the dates. That's how we started planning. Then we put out registration. 100 people registered. 1,000 people registered. Like, it started like sponsors said they want to partner. I'm like, it's just a small this thing, before I was like, oh, well, that means there is market in this thing. And so I'm like, okay, so we just started. And the first edition, we had over 800 in attendance. And the second edition, that was last year, that was, it was spanned for 3 days. We had cumulative of like close to 3,000 in attendance, right? We had even Yabuechi of Flutterwave. I just told him once and I was like, he's down. We had Satoshi bringing people from Japan, investors. We had, that is a very big investor, right? Very careful. We had quite a number of and I was happy that, okay, when I thought back, so the only mistake I did was, I did not take proper record, or I did not write the story of the impact. Because I just saw the story, like I was hearing news, this one signed 300K deal. This one, I was happy. Like those, like back to the question, like, what drives me, like that's, I was happy when I saw, this. So when I now realized that, I'm the only one that knows this thing. Other people don't know it. So that's one thing we'll put into cognizance for this year. Now we'll ensure we write the story properly and put the word out there that, okay, this is what we're doing, so that more people actually can come and benefit of it. So for me, how do I find purpose? Anything that looks like I'm making impacts. So it can be anything. It could be public speaking. It could be running a startup. I just find the fact that, okay, I'm employing people, right? And I'm accountable for them, right? It could be I'm organizing about a startup fest, creating an ecosystem for people to thrive, both in their business or as a corporate. So I think that for me is what I call purpose.
David, thank you very much for the impact you're making in Nigeria, and for the solutions that you're building for the African continent, solving real problems. And we can't wait to see where you're going to go. And we're behind you.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. Thank you.